is Sky Sports.
Hello and a warm welcome to the ImproveYourPool.com World 8-Ball Pool Championships from the Norbreck Hotel in Blackpool. It's the finals, the men's finals that is, and we're getting down to what has been a cracking 2006 tournament. With me is the defending champion, Gareth Potts, and obviously I know you'd like to be out there, but you're in the perfect position now to analyse these guys' two games, and it's going to be very interesting between these two. Mark Selby and Darren Appleton, very different players, but both very hungry, of course, to take the title.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, they're both going to be hungry. They both, you know, deserve to be here. I think, you know, this has been the final that has deserved. You know, they've both played really well. Maybe Mark's played the slightly better pool than Darren, but, you know, I don't think that makes a great deal of difference in this match. And I think that, you know, Mark has to be a slight favourite on the form that he's shown in the two matches he's played.
Darren Appleton, obviously well known to all of you who play the 8-Ball Pool Championship. Mark Selby obviously is a snooker player, and a very good snooker player, one of the best in the world, top 30, 28 at the moment. What's his motivation, do you think? Has he settled into this kind of pool?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, he's no stranger to playing pool. He plays county pool, you know, as they mentioned in the commentary. You know, I've known him for a number of years. He's never really played pool at this higher level. So, you know, he certainly knows his way about, you know, how to go about a finish, you know. So it would be no shock, you know, if he wins here tonight.
Well, let's take a look at how these two men got through to the final. And let's start with Mark Selby, unseeded, of course, coming in almost as the unknown in that respect. But look at his record here, 8-3 over Maury Dolan. Ben Noonan, the Australian, 9-4 there. Chris Melling in the semi-final, 10-5. And that's where he really did excel, because Chris Melling, without doubt, one of the favourites. And it was a brilliant match. And why don't we actually take a look at some of the action from that, because that really was where Mark Selby made his name.
Well, listen, you've got one more hurdle to get over, the final. Are you up for it?
Yeah, we'll just see what happens. I mean, like I say, it's all down to the break. If I'm breaking well, I've got a chance.
All the best, man.
Cheers, man.
Interesting line there from Mark Selby. Typical of a snooker player to identify the fact that the break is the most important thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is the most important thing, you know, not only to a snooker player, but, you know, tonight, you know, I think it's all going to go down through breaks to the best.
OK, well, let's turn our attention to Darren Appleton. The Yorkshireman's never won the world title, and he's certainly been very close in the past. This is his run. He's seeded 6, and he's played pretty well, in fact, especially over Jason Twist, who was going to be a really formidable opponent. But Carl Morris, with all the tricks that Carl Morris brings, 10-4, that was convincing. Let's take a look at some of the action from that semi-final.
Foul. Foul. listen, you're looking at Mark Selby in the final. Do you fancy it, Darren?
Well, last time I played him, I beat him 8-0, so... but obviously, this week, he's probably played the best pull, so I'm going to have to play better than that tomorrow.
I think Darren would be very surprised if he got anywhere near 8-0 tonight because, well, certainly Mark Selby is the man on form. And Darren Appleton, to be fair, didn't play that well in the semi-final against Carl Morris.
No, he didn't play great, and like I say, he'd be the first one to admit that. But, you know, he will be hungry for this title, you know, more hungry than anyone, I would imagine. I just hope that he doesn't want it too much, you know.
You were here last year, you know exactly what these players are going through. How do you see it tonight in terms of knowing both these players?
Well, I mean, you know, I don't really know Mark as well as I know Darren, but, you know, I really, really do not know who's going to win this one. I think it's all going to go down to the breaks. And, yeah, I just don't know.
I think Darren's got to bring his A game, hasn't he?
Yeah, Darren's definitely got to bring his A game, you know, on the current form. The last two matches, like I said, Mark has definitely been the best player, but you can't write Darren off because he's one of the best players in the world without a doubt, so it'll be a good match and I'm looking forward to it. OK, it should be a cracking match. The man from snooker, Mark Selby, 28 in the world against Darren Appleton, the one man who should have but never has won the world title. Let's get down to it. Your commentators tonight are Sean Baker, Lee Kendall and, of course, Jim Weich. But let's first of all go to Scotland, Dave.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome tonight to the Men's World 8-Ball Pool Final Championships. Introducing first, ladies and gents, this man needs no introduction. He's fought his way through tonight's final, ladies and gents, and hoping tonight to take home the crown. The electrifying Englishman, please give it up for Mark Selby!
And his opponent tonight, ladies and gents, is one of the most explosive players the competition has seen in years. Will you give it up for the one, the only, the dynamite man, that's Mr. Darren Appleton.
Darren Appleton, the number 6 seed in this event, up against, well, someone who many might think is a surprise package, not any of us. As a matter of fact, we make Mark Selby slight favorite in this one. It's a race to 11, best of 21, the men's final, and the lag to see who will break in the opening frame.
Lag is won by Darren Appleton.
Darren Appleton will kick things off here. And to my right, the head of the English Pool Referees Association, Mr. Sean Baker. And Sean, I think you, like I, just tip Mark Selby slightly here, don't we?
Yeah, I think from what we've seen this week and at these championships, I think Mark Selby's the man who's going to lift the title tonight. It's going to be close. I mean, Darren's going to have to lift his game from the semi-final and quarter-final performances, but I think Mark will just edge this final. Probably 11-8, I think.
Well, I'm not placing a bet until I find out what the Fox says.
First frame, Darren Appleton's break.
The English captain, Lee Kendall. Lee, I'm all over whoever you like here.
Well, it again is a very, very close call. From the 8-ball pool, you've got Darren Appleton and the silky snooker player, Mark Selby. I slightly favour Selby just on current form.
Got the yellow in the side.
Yellow ball potted. Certainly going to be taking yellows here.
Beat Chris Melling as we see that break cue employed here again by Darren Appleton. Chris Melling asked Darren if he could borrow the break cue for that semi-final. Darren said, no, I don't think so, Chris. You're on your own.
Red ball's nominated.
He's actually decided to go reds, and I think it's because he hasn't got a yellow, to be honest.
30 seconds.
We see from the overhead shot there.
I think it's safe to say you're not going to see many tactical battles in this final. And I think it's also safe to say Darren knows he's got to raise his game.
Red ball's in play.
If he's going to compete with the way that Mark Selby has played.
That's a good first shot from Darren there. He's just split the two reds on the right-hand side. So there's a great opportunity here for Darren to take the first frame, settle himself down. He looks very composed around the table.
And you heard Darren in the pre-match interview just alluding to the fact that he had beaten Selby 8-0. Now, Lee, on my records, that was in this tournament back in 2003. Is that the only time they've played?
It's the only time they've played in competition. I think they've practiced together, but only in competition. It's the only proper true record of a match we've got. I did actually see that match, and Darren never missed a ball, so Mark Selby didn't do anything wrong in that match. Now the 8 ball on the bottom right hand corner looks like it passes a yellow, so it's just a matter of Darren just negotiating the cue ball around these 3 reds for a simple 8 ball.
And this is just the start Darren will have wanted in this match. So just to settle any nerves he may have. He's certainly a man with nerves of steel. I don't think you'll see too many mistakes from these guys tonight. Certainly the way Mark Selby played, Lee, in his semi-final against Chris Mellon. He was hardly a cue out of place, if you like.
Well, Mark Selby played excellent, and Darren will know he needs to raise his game, but he doesn't need to raise his standard because, you know, he's rolled that one. He thinks it's rolled off, but that is careless. He should have hit it a bit harder.
He's upset about the table, but he's left it to the mercy of the table. I mean, it certainly looked like it turned.
Time running.
Looked like it just turned up a bit. Might even have got a kick.
Well, we've had a few where the ball's rolled off, so I don't know if this table is 100% level, but I don't think any players complained about the level of it, but we have noticed a few times the balls have run off.
Well, we certainly have the benefit of a slow motion replay that the players don't, and we have seen a couple balls turn.
Now, Mark will probably attack here, but he could quite easily just roll the yellow with bottom right, played the snooker, and got the 8 ball pocket there. Because he has got a yellow tied up on the left-hand side rail, but it isn't really what Mark Selby tends to do. He likes to try and take finishes out. But going for the finish does give Darren a chance. A sensible shot is just to roll the white behind the 8 ball. Obviously he's got to play the yellow ball first.
Taking lots of time, and that was a quick glance to check the clock. 60 seconds with which to play a shot, and you'll be warned at 30 seconds.
We just heard that call there. Well, he's obviously feeling confidently here, or is he going to play the snooker now?
No, he's going. Sorry, Sean. He's going to take the cue ball up the table and play it down the rail. And that's just how Mark plays. He doesn't like to play the snooker. A lot of 8 ball players would have just rolled the yellow over the bag and got the snooker and made sure of the frame.
And Lee, what better way to punish Darren than converting this to a victory right away? Oh!
And he missed it by a long way. If you notice, when he played the yellow down the rail, it's hit halfway down the rail. Straight into the cushion there and coming away. It would have been an injustice if that yellow would have gone. Well, Darren could have got the cue ball a little bit further into the middle of the table. He's left himself a little tester, but for somebody of Darren's standard, you would expect him to make this quite easily.
And make it he does. So Darren Appleton can breathe a sigh of relief in parking that 8 ball. The memory of that bad red gone. Appleton 1-0 over Selby in the final. Appleton happy with the rack, and at 1-1, the number 6 seed going to be looking for a ball down on this break in frame number 3. And just like Mark Selby, he comes up dry.
Yeah, and the balls have split well. There is a few problems on the table still. A couple of balls at the bottom left-hand corner look to be together. The yellow looks so it doesn't go in there. So he may need to develop that. It is the yellows he's chosen.
Yellow ball's in play.
Yeah, he does pass into the bottom left-hand corner. Going to can into the yellow and the black. And this shot will open the whole frame up. Very good shot. In prime position now.
Yeah, this is just what Mark will wanted after taking that second frame to level the match up. He will definitely want to come to the table and get into this rhythm we've seen in his previous matches. He gets into this nice steady rhythm, and he's not rushing. He just takes his time, goes around the table, gets down and plays, you know, with a nice cue action that we'd expect.
Yeah, the difference between the two players, whereas Mark's a bit silky and in the balls he looks really smooth, Darren's more brute force. He goes at the finish and he's straight at it, like a boxer, punches them all in. But where Mark's just really silky.
Time out.
And Mark has won 8 matches en route to this final. Some kind of performance, unseeded. And in fact, twice as many as Darren's had to win to make his way to the final.
Yeah, and he's had this cue ball on a string in every match.
We've talked about that, haven't we? Nobody has controlled that cue ball better than Mark Selby.
And that's why we probably put him slight favourite for the match.
Selby takes his first lead at this men's final. 2-1 over Darren Appleton. He swiped the break, and it'll be Selby to break in frame number 4. Facing a 3-1 deficit, Appleton comes to the table to break in frame number 5. And he's got to start making something happen.
Open table.
Good rack, bad rack, doesn't seem to matter. Darren can't buy a ball off the break.
I don't think there's been a ball made off the break in this match so far. Now looking at the table that Mark's fished with, he's got a red and a yellow which is tied up on the right hand side. He's elected the yellows. I mean, there's probably just enough room for the cue ball to go past that and cut the yellow down the rail, so there is an opportunity for a finish. And I'm sure that's what Mark will be doing, having to go for the finish.
Lee, he just looks so composed, so controlled. You know, he's almost intimidating watching him, even from the comm box.
Yeah, he looks the ultimate professional, very cool. And when he speaks to him off the table, he's no different. He's a nice lad. So he's got a nice angle on this yellow.
He just knocks these colors in with robotic regularity.
What he's doing now is looking at taking this one bottom left to leave himself an angle on the one that's on the bottom rail to go in and disturb. I think he should be okay because there's a yellow that goes into the left-hand middle from the look of the table there, Lee.
Yeah, he's overcut that one, but he's fine. Now this is a tricky little shot. He'll want to play the yellow into the bottom right-hand corner and bring the cue ball up and probably just rest on the red above the yellow.
Oh, he intended cannoning the red out of the way and he's missed it. And this is a headache. And one for which he's not going to be able to find an aspirin.
But he managed to clear the headache in the last frame, so Darren will be ultra cautious to make sure that he doesn't leave him a possibility of a finish when he gets to the table, because there's no chance of Mark clearing up on this finish.
See the spin on that cue ball.
Red ball's in play.
And clearly illustrated with that spotted white.
Yeah, and he must have called a total snooker there because he hit 2 cushions before he contacted the yellow. So then he didn't need to hit a rail. I don't think you'll see him going for the finish. That's exactly what he's decided to do, is just play a bit of safety. He wasn't too bothered that he didn't get the pocket because there's no yellows that need to go past that at the moment. It's just a case of containing Mark Selby. If he moves a yellow, the one that he's pointing at, he knows that Darren's ball's going to be promoted.
I'll tell you what, he's looking as if he could get behind it and maybe knock it into the opposite corner, the opposite middle pocket. It's a dangerous shot, this is.
And I was just going to say, he could be locked behind the red.
Delighted that yellow never went in.
Yeah, I don't think he could have stopped that as well, Jim. I think the cue ball was always going to be locked to that rail.
And I tell you what, you can tell you now that Darren Appleton is not going to be impressed with this. You know, he probably feels Mark's having all the run at the moment. And
well, I think he would have been quite happy because, you know, it wasn't touching ball, he just tapped him behind it, so he's going to force Mark Selby to try and get out the snooker, and there's a fair chance he's going to extract 2 shots if he does that.
Total snooker.
And Mark could possibly just roll up behind the red and force Darren to go with 1 visit.
30 seconds.
So he's again jacking up, lots of spin on the cue ball here. It's a good effort.
That's a great effort, but I think he's just opened the frame up for Darren. Darren's extracted that mistake.
Well, we said a few moments ago that it didn't matter that Darren didn't cover the bottom left-hand corner. He wished he had now, because I think that yellow passes and the yellow's now coming to that area.
No, can you not see Darren finishing these from here then, Lee? I think he will.
Well, I think he's going to have a go, but you always like that little bit of security and knowing that, you know, if you fall out of position, you've got a goalkeeper in your way.
But I do think that Darren has to try and go for the throat here.
No.
3-1, the current score line. And he has been outplayed in just about every department. If he can get back to 3-2, I think the scoreline would flatter him.
Yeah, and Darren will just be eager to try and get back to level and regroup. It's early stages in this final. There's a long way to go.
Still no problems. He's kept that cue ball under wraps. But I mean, Selby's rhythm and, you know, his consistent pace around the table have almost rubbed off on Darren. Darren's normally a lot quicker, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's very, very deliberate in everything he's doing at the moment. He's not fluent. So I think he's just trying to make sure and not make any more mistakes like he's made earlier on in this match so far. But I like his composure around the table at the moment. He's looking focused. I fully expect him to take this finish out. Just wants to make sure he's got a nice angle on this. He doesn't want to be running away and having to come up the table. Needs to play this positively and bring the cue ball back behind, well, back to where it is roughly. He's okay. He can take the red into the left-hand centre and screw the cue ball back. He would like an angle to come down to the bottom rail, but you know, he should still be okay. Might be forced to take the one at the bottom instead. Yeah, he's just looking at his angle there. He's going to take the one in the centre and screw the cue ball back probably about a foot. Now the problem is a yellow ball. He needs to negotiate that yellow out of the way. You might see lots of spin and running off the bottom rail inside the yellow and cushion. So he's got the option of bumping into the yellow or trying to come round the back of it. just go into that left centre.
Yeah, played with very nice control. And into the side for a 3-2 score line. Appleton pulls one back. Always looked like it was going to be a close match, and it's brewing up that way. Selby 3-2 in front. He is yet to enjoy any success off the break. And frame number 6 finally sees a ball down. But
Red ball's potted.
look where the white is finished.
Well, I'll be hoping that all the yellows are in the open, and they look pretty good. He can't go the red balls. He's forced him to go into the yellows, and he has got an easy start in the top right-hand corner.
Yellow ball's nominated.
And yellows he's nominated. That is a nice out for him here. There's no reason why he shouldn't finish his.
Yellow ball's in play.
Just ran into that yellow there, just moved, just nudged it over a little bit towards the other, so it's leaving less space, Lee, for his work.
Well, he is perfect, Sean, though, because you can just stop the cue ball after every shot here. Possibly draw back a little bit. Well controlled, made sure the yellow didn't get sandwiched between those two reds. You'd fully expect Mark to take these out.
You can always tell when a player's in the zone because their habits are the same, their shot routine identical, and their eyes never leave the surface.
But this is probably the key shot here, Jim. He needs to get the cue ball and the prime position. And has he got a shot at this yellow in the left-hand centre? It's very tight. I'm not sure that he can get through to that.
I think he just had a look to make sure the other yellow was wide open to the opposite center, Lee, and how far down he could go to leave it on.
He's just teasing me, I think, Jim.
Mind you, with his emotions, I don't think we'd know one way or the other. He never displays anything.
And I'm sure that he probably plays poker as well. I wouldn't like to be playing him.
Yeah, no kidding. He doesn't need the sunglasses. But you know, his first pool final, and the way he plays, he's going to see plenty more. And look at the control of that cue ball. Nice and tight up against that 8 to leave it at his mercy. 8 down, 4-2 confirmed here in Blackpool. Selby dictating the pace. Well, while our hosts were talking, you could see Appleton checking the rack time and time again. He's almost looking to see if every ball is touching. Frame number 7, 4-2 Appleton trails, and it's almost as though he's admitting defeat to the break.
Yellow ball potted.
Well, finally, and thankfully, a ball goes down, but I mean, look at Darren's expression. No, right now he's just a man that's fighting a lot of negative thoughts.
See the break.
Yeah, he was fortunate not to go off on the break as well.
And this yellow, he's just flicked the red, you see, and disappeared into that right-hand centre pocket. He just seems a little bit out of sorts here. Cue ball's at his top end again. He's not quite sure which group he wants to take.
Yellow ball's in play.
Yeah, he's chosen yellows, but he's got a couple of awkward yellows at the bottom left-hand corner. Where's the cue ball?
And has he knocked the red in? He has.
Foul.
He's given 2 visits.
2 visits. Red ball's in play.
Well,
Poor control of the cue ball.
Yeah, it was careless. You could see the cue ball was heading towards that area. It was either going to go straight and off or knock a red into the pocket. He's looking at his tip, but I don't think it was anything to do with his tip. I think it was just a misjudgment. I think he's overcut it. You can see it just sneaked in off the far jaw. That's why there was so much power on it. It was a great shot. He was trying to make a disturbance in that area.
That's exactly what he's trying to do. He took the difficult red because he wanted to try and open up the awkward one on the left-hand side. Terrific pot.
Well, this is a complete contrast to the last time Darren played in the final, because he was winning all the way and Mikkel came back at him 2 years ago, whereas now he's finding himself behind, so he needs to hold himself together. And there's a miss there from Mark Selby.
Second visit.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to be winning at this visit anymore. He's just put another red in jail. That's a good point, though, and you know something, Lee? Darren can do well to try and console himself and use that as solace. That's right. You know, he was well ahead of Mick, and Mick came back at him, you know, in 2004 when he was in the final.
Yeah, you have to fight all the way because it's a race to 11, not to 5.
Great effort from Selby there. Rather unlucky that he hasn't bumped this red into the open, and that's assuming that red that he was just looking at isn't available.
Yeah, I think he was just having a quick look there to see if that red would maybe go off the yellow, where there's the red and the yellow tucked together.
Well, I think he is trying a finish which is out of this world at the moment. You look at the table now, you just don't think he can possibly finish.
If he finishes here, I'm going to call it the best finish I've ever seen. You know,
I don't think the cue ball's come far enough there.
I don't have to worry about that now. That would have been an all-world finish, Lee, wouldn't it?
Yeah, instead it's made Darren now the new favourite for this frame.
And he's on his second visit too.
So that you can probably only play the red nearest the yellow on the left-hand side rail. Looks like he's snookered on the other one, and as soon as he does move that, it opens the frame up. Well, he thinks he can get through to it. No, he has played the one I said, but he's put it safe again. So Darren now needs to make a good visit to the table and take control of this frame.
You know, we've seen so much of Selby playing, and I mean, if you didn't know the score was 4-2, you'd think Darren was a lot further behind, but 4-2, that's nothing really.
Not in a race to 11. Very early days in this match.
30 seconds.
Oh, that's a strange shot by Darren. I can't really understand the benefit of that shot. He's just letting Mark roll his red down towards that pocket.
30 seconds.
Matter of fact, so much so he didn't even attempt it.
Yeah, and he's played a good shot there, but that's all down to Darren's lack of thought, really. He was always going to leave that shot on. He was always going to leave something for Mark to do. You never really want that in a match.
I think he's only left Darren with that one yellow, perhaps, that's closest to him. And if he moves that out of the way, he's potentially handing Mark a chance, although the red that the cue ball's closest to doesn't pass into the left-hand corner pocket. We've already seen that.
Yeah, if that red doesn't pass, it's a real big bonus for Darren, because he can bring this yellow out knowing that he's got a little bit more time. If it does pass, he's played a terrible shot. It mustn't pass.
No.
Mustn't pass into the left-hand corner, so he's going to.
Pretty sure we saw in a previous overhead shot, Lee, when Mark played the attempted snooker. And what he's going to do now is trying to hide the cue ball, is he? Behind those two, he is. Don't think he's made it. I think he's opened the gap up between the black and the red. Yeah, and Darren can see, and I think he's giving him a chance here.
Well, I think Darren's going to take control with this shot. Have a good think where he leaves the cue ball so he can wrestle some initiative in this frame. I mean, he needs one good shot to take the finish on. If we can just make a ball somewhere, keep the cue ball safe. That's what he's done. He's got the cue ball safe, brought the balls into the open. It's a good shot from Darren. He's left Mark possibly a double into the top right hand corner where Mark's standing now to get one over that pocket. If it went, he'd be holding on the 8 ball and a chance at the game.
Point with his cue there, where he wants to try and leave the cue ball for that red into the right hand corner, but it's a massive shot, Lee, you're talking about, really.
I was just about to, sorry, Lee, I was just about to ask Sean that, you know, I mean, to attack from this position.
That's what he's played. He was trying to double it and hold the cue ball there. He got the cue ball right, but he didn't get the red hard enough.
Yeah, he had the red on line too.
Surely we'll see Darren go game here.
I mean, he has got the security of the 8 ball blocking the red into the pocket where he's got his hand. So one good yellow. And I think there was a little bit of movement on that. I think he pulled up off that shot. He's just not at the races at the moment.
Another look at it.
He pulled straight up there, Jim, didn't he?
That's never a good sign when you see early movement. I mean, you watch Darren after he executes a stroke, and then watch Mark Selby. Double into the top right corner.
And what we haven't noticed so far in this match is Darren's been sticking his tongue out. So he obviously isn't in the groove, because that must be something he does when he feels like he's playing well. It's a gurning competition at the moment, I think, though, because they're both pulling loads of facial expressions. But Mark did get a good cue ball there. But Darren just needs one good pot. One good pot, he wins the frame. Yellow in the top right hand corner.
No, that's a decent shot there.
Yeah, he's played a defensive shot. He never meant to attempt the pot there. Just hide the cue ball.
Not tap the swing.
I think he's just had a little gesture with our referee, Jason Davis, because Jason hasn't given the total, but Mark's not convinced.
30 seconds.
No prizes for guessing which one of these two is enjoying this final. And I think that's always the secret to being successful.
Where's the 8 ball?
And that puts a little pressure. That makes the cheese a little more binding.
Yeah, and Darren will be hoping that Mark Selby's red in the top right hand corner doesn't pass the yellow. And he knows he can play the shot with a little bit of safety. But really, he needs to go out for it all guns blazing and make this ball and try and take some control.
.30 seconds.
So I think Darren's winding himself up for a big shot. It's a good cue ball though. Or has he left it?
Well, for what it's worth, Lee, he can see the long red, but to get position to that difficult one, well, oh, he can see this one. Well,
it's close.
Unbelievable shot.
Darren can't believe he's lost another frame like he's lost 2 or 3 in this final so far.
Too many negative shots. Just a phenomenal pot, though, from Mark Selby. Can't say enough about that shot. And the simplest of 8s. to punctuate yet another victory. 5-2, the Selby train motors on.
Yeah, the train has definitely come out of the station for Selby, and he's on a roll at the moment. And I have to wonder now, has Darren lost his head a little bit? It may be a bit dramatic to say that, but just his body language.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly looks that way. I mean, you know, he looks out of sorts completely. He's making mistakes, and then Mark's giving him chances back, and he's just not securing the frames. He's leaving Mark chances to develop his balls, get himself back into the frames, you know, whether it's potting a ball off 3 cushions or, you know, leaving him on his bad ball as he did there.
You're a world champion. You've seen him play this sort of stuff before, but Mark Selby's bringing kind of a new aspect to the game. He's really showing some excellent shots.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as he mentioned in commentary, he is a great cueist, you know, from his snooker background. So if Darren keeps leaving him, you know, lets him see his balls when he's made a mistake, he's going to knock them in. Let's take a look at Darren's shots. Here's one of them. This is the mistake that basically led to, obviously, Mark clearing up. And now we see Mark. Great shot choice. This is what I was talking about. Yeah, I mean, what Darren is doing is he's moving on his shots, you know, and the more you feel the pressure, you know, he's moving on his shots, and it does get difficult out there, you know, he just doesn't look to be with it, and like I say, Mark just keeps capitalising on his mistakes, really. He's got that air of a real cool hand Luke when it comes to, you know, he's just not having any pressure on him, and he looks relaxed now, doesn't he? Yeah, I mean, you know, he definitely looks cool. You know, he looks 10 times cooler than Darren. Like I said, Darren looks really, really pumped up for it, and you know, maybe that's the difference. Maybe that's getting to Darren. Well, a very relaxed-looking Mark Selby at the moment, the man from Leicester, trying to get his first world title in 8-ball pool. As we've said before, he's ranked 28th in the world in snooker. He's been against the likes of Ronnie O'Sullivan and John Higgins, and now he's got Darren Appleton. Quite a different kettle of fish. The man from Yorkshire is so hungry, but is he too hungry? We're about to find out. Let's join our commentary team again.
Mark Selby at 5-2, and with the break to come, frame number 8, some, well, absolutely unbelievable shot making. And the cue ball, well, here's a chance for Appleton. That cue ball kicked right into that corner pocket, so
one visit, open table.
If nothing else, Appleton with the first shout. But watch that cue ball get kicked in right there by the red.
Red ball's in play. Time out.
Immediately from this, in this frame, Darren looks like he's got himself in trouble again. He's not happy with that shot he's played, whether he's felt he's had a bad contact. He's had certainly had the cue ball cleaned.
Yeah, I'd be looking to screw the cue ball back into the red and the yellow. He's disturbed it, but just nothing's going right at the moment for Darren. He's just making hard work. When you see Mark at the table, everything seems to be silky, smooth, no problems. Darren just seems to be just not at the races at the moment. It's a total contrast to all Darren's matches where all his opponents haven't turned up, and at the moment it's Darren that's not turned up.
Well, we said at the outset, though, that he would have to raise his game against Selby, and he clearly hasn't done that. His other opponents, you know, almost, you know, pushed him over the finish line. There's no way Selby's going to do that.
Yeah, he's played a good shot there, though. He's developed that little cluster that was in the middle of the table. He's still got the awkward one. He was just looking at, see if it went into the bottom left-hand corner pocket.
Yeah, I don't think it does go, Sean. It's
this red here. Will it go into that corner pocket? And say I don't think it will.
No, I'm in agreement with yourself, Sean. I don't think it goes.
30 seconds.
Yeah, as you can see there, it doesn't go, and I just can't see how he can break that ball out because he's having to clear reds out the way. And
you know, Lee, just to further underline Darren Appleton's misery, you know, you look at his record in this championship, and he's had heartbreaking losses. He's been to the quarterfinals 3 times prior, lost 9-8 in every single one of them. And then in the final in 2004, 11-9. I mean, those are gut-wrenching losses.
Yeah, it's been a tough tournament for Darren Appleton, but you do know with Darren, you get value for money. You'll have to scrape him off this table. He'll keep fighting, even if it's not going for him.
You gotta love any player that leaves it all on the table, Lee.
30 seconds.
And he's just looking there with his cue, see if he can swing the cue ball around the angles and bump into it. But I think that'll be his next to last shot. So that's the only ball he can land on when he goes into him.
Yeah, it's the old saying there, not leaving all your eggs in one basket, leaving your bad ball to the end. And if he does that, that's when it can all go pear-shaped.
Yeah, but he's had no option because he played a couple of poor shots early on, and he's forced it to be that way. And this is a tough shot, and how it's been going so far for Darren, I just cannot see him just getting the right nudge, because he does need the right nudge to land on this. And I think he's looking at potting the red in the bottom right-hand corner, spinning the white off 2 rails, and just freeing the yellow off the top of the other yellow nearest the 8, nearest the red. So 2 rails.
30 seconds.
1, 2, and that's a brilliant shot.
Easily the best shot of the match for Darren Appleton. Will he use it and carry it on to the frames that are yet to come? The 8 down. Appleton trails only 5-3. He's going to have a shout in this final before the smoke clears. Frame number 9, the Dazzler, Darren Appleton. He's never won this title. Trailing Mark Selby 5-3. And in a lot of people's minds, one of the best players never to have won the world title. And no friends at the table.
You see, that's what I'm saying, Jim. He's having the balls re-racked over and over again, and he's still not making a ball. So why not maybe just once? Let's just stand up, let the ref do the job, and let's give him a go from there and see what happens. And fair enough, if they don't split and he doesn't make a ball, then go back to the referee and say no, keep going, keep going.
Can't disagree with you, Sean. What's he got to lose?
I think that's from a referee's eyes, though. He wants it nice and easy.
Well, I'm just wondering though, Lee, if he isn't breaking his own rhythm, you know, and just getting on with the game.
I just don't think he's got a rhythm at the moment, Jim. I think he's just trying to...
Well, he's not allowing himself to get into rhythm.
Yeah, he says a good point.
I mean, if you remember 2 or 3 years ago, Pat Holtz was trying a bit mind games, really, actually, with Jason Twist, where he was having the balls racked over and over again, and he wasn't making a ball. And it was nothing to do with the rack, it was just the way he was breaking. I'm convinced Jason Twist was totally the opposite, as Mark Selby's doing here. He's just getting up, the referee's racked the balls, and he's just smashing them. And if he's making one, he's making one. He's not. I don't think he's even checked the pat once in this game.
Yeah, I just think different players get disturbed in different ways. I think Mark's a sort of player, he's just gonna go to the table and break them.
But I don't think you'd see a much different Mark Selby if he was knocking the balls in practice. I think you'd see the same sort of demeanor, the same look. And I mean, you know, I've said it many, many times in past commentary. You know, it's all about, you know, making it look like it means nothing when it means everything.
Yeah, and again, he's been in perfect position throughout this finish. And it's another one he's chalked up with a lot of ease. Never been in trouble with that cue ball.
He's made this one look elementary. Almost like you could have passed the cue to someone on the street and they could have come in and cleared up. The 8 deposited. Selby will not be denied. 9 frames are in the books here in Blackpool, and it's a 6-3 advantage to the number 28 snooker player. Frame number 10, and Selby into the comfort zone. It's the ImproveYourPool.com World 8-Ball Championship. And a dry break. But even though he hasn't enjoyed any success off the break, he's not letting it disturb him.
Well, he's 6-3 up at the moment, so he's going to be feeling a little bit more relaxed because of the scoreline, where Darren is just trying to clutch at a few straws. So it's going to be reds the choice of the day, I think, for Darren here, just because you've got 3 yellows tied up and a bunch at the bottom left-hand corner.
You know, an astounding statistic. I mean, here we are in frame number 10, and I can tell you that Selby has broken 5 times. He's made a ball once, fouled once, and come up dry 3 times, and he's 6-3 in front. Would you believe it?
Well, if you said that before the match started, you would say that Darren Appleton would be leading this match by a long way. But Darren Appleton's stats can't be any better.
Actually, Lee, they are just slightly better. Out of 5 breaks that Darren has had, he's made 2 and come up dry in the other 3. So, you know, marginally better, but not on the important part, and that's the scoreboard.
But what I don't like about Darren's play, he's playing balls. When he's rolling balls in, he's tending to move a lot. He sort of just rolls them in and he's up straight away. And we've seen a couple of balls that he's missed where he said they've rolled off, and they have slightly rolled off. But if he would have stayed down on his shot, he would have had it in the centre of the pocket, so it wouldn't have mattered if they rolled off.
No, that's not going to help his cause. He's just bumped the yellow down and covered the 8. I mean, that 8 was available to that near corner that you're looking at now, and he's just pushed the yellow in that path.
Yeah, he seems to make a little bit of trouble for himself a lot of the times on the finishes, where Mark Selby's just quite easily running through the balls without any problems whatsoever.
A huge frame.
30 seconds.
Really, Darren's got to keep Mark Selby in his sights. Oh, beautiful shot. Instantly retrieves the situation to one of some merit.
Yeah, because that was a great shot, because he's had to play it down the rail with pace, so that he got back across to disturb the blackout. So I think Darren's given himself a great chance here now to cut that deficit to just 2 frames.
Yeah, and that was a clever little shot. By taking the one into the centre, you can just go up and down with the cue ball instead of trying to swing around and get the wrong angle. And I'll have to come and take the middle ball last and have the wrong angle and come into those 2 yellows. So that's very clever thinking. He's still thinking straight. That's the main thing for Darren. And he cued that one extremely well. So he's still in this match.
Well and truly in it. 8 down, 10 now in the books, and it is 6-4 to Mark Selby. He's leading 6-4 right now, Mark Selby.
11th frame, Darren Appleton's
I'll tell you what, it could so easily have been 7-3 if not for a terrific clearance from Darren Appleton in the last. And what's more, against Selby's break. So frame number 11. And the man who has been to this final before and wants to go one step further than that experience, where he lost to Mick Hill in 2004, is set to break.
He's made a yellow in the middle pocket, and you'll notice there on the break-off he actually changed his mind about where he was going to break off. He was on the left-hand side as we looked, then he's gone over to in the middle, and he's made that yellow.
Yeah, the problem he's got is if he goes reds, he's got 2 reds on the left-hand side cushion, which don't go in any pockets, and he's got no easy starter on a yellow ball, so he may choose reds and have to split into those 2 reds on the left-hand side rail.
Red ball's nominated.
And that's what he's done. He's nominated the reds. He just needs one good cannon, though. If he develops those 2 reds on the left-hand side, he's got a good chance to take the frame. And that's a perfect angle. Just needs to be careful now.
Yeah, it'd be nice, Lee, wouldn't it, if he had a red that he could drop onto, knowing that he could disturb those and still play onto one, but he doesn't have that luxury.
And the other danger he's got, when he plays into these 2 reds, they look like they're going to plant up the cushion to where those 3 yellows are on the top left-hand side, so he needs to play this with a little bit of control.
Bit too hard, but that was the danger both that you and I talked about. He's not only bumped that red up towards the yellows, but he didn't have another red that would have been at his mercy, even developing these 2. Hence, and nothing more than defense now from Darren Appleton. But another look, I think he actually tried to get inside there and flick the red on the right-hand side as we look.
Now he has got the option of just clipping off the edge of the red, sending the white to the cushion and trying to get the cue ball back glued against that red ball, but it's a tricky little shot.
Yeah, he's not made up his mind, and 30 seconds has been called.
Well, I don't know what he's played there.
No, it was a mistake. Certainly couldn't have intended the double kiss, and he's left a yellow on for Mark.
Yeah, I think he's trying to play off the edge of it and send the cue ball up into the top right-hand corner. And he's got a double kiss on the way.
As you say, Lee, yellows were probably the ball he would like to have taken, but he didn't have an opening shot.
Well, that's not Mark Selby's best effort. He does have a tricky yellow top right, but you can see he's bumped the other one into deeper traffic. Now, I don't know whether those 2 yellows at the bottom of the table are set into a plant into the corner. They look very close.
Yeah, that's a possibility. And also, once he's potted the yellow in the top right-hand corner, which he hasn't done, that option's out of the way now. So it's up to Darren to try and wrestle some momentum. I was thinking of, Jim. Momentum.
Old Mo. Yeah, old Mo's been known to change chairs, Lee. Well, we talked about those yellows and whether they offered a plant set into that corner, and it certainly looks like it.
It's a clever little shot by Darren. He's brought the cue ball up to the top right-hand corner. Those reds must pass into the top left. So this is a good opportunity now for Darren to close the gap.
Yeah, I think we saw on the overhead shot a couple of seconds ago that both these reds will pass into that same corner pocket, and he's just got to play a couple of nice little control shots here. It looks like he might have just overcut that a little bit, Lee. He's left this a little bit thin maybe, but
yeah, he's made that missable now, but you know, it's a must-win visit for Darren here. He's fine looking at that angle. He can bring the white into the middle of the table, no problem.
The key is the position from this red to the last, and that certainly will hold the key to victory for Darren Appleton in frame number 11. Mind you, if that black was available, he could well shoot the other red, Lee. Must not be out enough from that black, because he certainly would shoot the red top left.
Yeah, he's just trying to work which way he wants to go about his business. He's not too sure. He has only got a minute, so he needs to make his mind up.
I think we just heard the 30-second call a few seconds ago, so Darren has been known to take right up to the 59th second before now.
And over at one tournament, and the final of the International Pool Tour this season, and the deciding frame against Phil Harrison, he was time fouled on a finish with 2 balls left.
Yeah, probably looked for the bridge after that one. But he's going to have to come with a shot here. He just overran intended position. And pulling that cue ball back, that's a great effort. It's not going to be the easiest of 8s. but he's given himself a chance.
He might, it's thin enough where they'll just run into those yellows. No, he's jacking the queue up, so he's obviously trying to avoid them.
He's got the 8. It just goes in the tradesman's entrance. And for the first time in this match, Appleton takes 2 in a row. 6-5 to Selby. Frame 12. And Lee Kendall, you said earlier you'd like to see whether or not Selby would be able to perform if questions were asked. Well, I think they're being asked. Nothing down, and at 6-5, the pressure will definitely start to mount.
Yeah, I'd like to see if Darren got into a couple of frames lead towards the back end of this match, just to see if Mark was able to respond to the Appleton onslaught. But he's got to get to that stage yet. He's 6-5 down.
Well, if the last 2 frames are any indication, Appleton has found another gear.
30 seconds.
Yeah, and he's got a tricky little finish here. He's got a yellow blocking the 8 ball into the centre, and he could possibly play the red inside that to free that. So with this red passing into the top left-hand corner, if the red's passing the bottom right-hand corner, all of a sudden it's an easy finish. And it makes me think how he's played position. They must go in the bottom right-hand corner. Great opportunity this to level the matchup.
Looks very close. With certainly the red into the center off the yellow. I mean, at some stage, you know, he may have to try and just alleviate a few of the problems around that 8.
Yeah, I think he ideally would like to be straight when he played this shot. He's just on the off angle, so this is now missable. He hasn't got the full pocket, and that's why he's missed it.
Yellow ball's in
He
play.
didn't give that near enough attention.
I was going to say, we saw from the camera shot that I don't think that went. It wasn't on that shot.
It was definitely on Sean, but he would like to have been straight on it. It went into the left-hand side of the pocket, but for the angle that he had, you know.
Well, he was certainly a long way away with the shot then.
Yeah, needed a bit more care, as Jim said. They call you James and Jim.
Was some shot from Selby there. I mean, he thumped that into the middle, and then he's drawn right back off that side cushion. Now, this yellow here that he's looking at is one that needs to be developed.
I think what he's maybe trying to do is pot this one to the right-hand corner and bump into that yellow and knock it down below the red, so he can take it into the left-hand corner pocket.
Yeah, it was a tricky shot because he caught the other red first, so you know, it's another lifeline for Appleton. You know, he's got a full double into the top right-hand corner if he wants, but he's going to be bridging over the red ball. It's a big pocket. But bridging over that red ball, it needs to be a big pocket to play that shot. He's just looking now. I think he's forced into playing it. The double into the top right-hand corner.
Seconds.
I'm sure if he gets this, it'll bring the house down. Well, I think he didn't want to play it bridging. He's going to play it later on into the same pocket.
He's certainly got a bigger pocket, as you said, Lee, with that red there.
He just looked as though he was trying to slide the yellow beneath the red over the pocket, which from our angle it looks like it doesn't go.
No, that doesn't go into there, Lee, as you say, from the overhead shot we've seen.
He's taken a little more time than he was earlier.
30 seconds.